Welcome back. Time now for Social Square, and today we are asking you, how should one deal with cyberbullying? We can put that up on the screen. You can weigh in on this discussion. Also give us your stories. Have you experienced any form of cyberbullying? Are you even not sure what that is? There's also the aspect of cyber threats and cyber stalking as well. 22422 is our SMS line. Use the hashtag Daybreak, and the essential numbers, because you can call in as well, are on the screen. 0719 777 777, and the other one 0742 961 343. Let's get some thoughts now from our panelists who remain here with us, except we've changed our set a little bit. We're a bit more relaxed. We've sat back. I want to hear from them. Kambua, cyberbullying, has that ever happened to you?
All the time.
All the time?
All the time. I feel like
give us one incident.
I feel like it's a constant in my career. Well, I'll talk about the one that has been that has consistently happened over the years. I have been cyberbullied for not having children, and you know, I get from, you know, it takes like just one person starting a conversation. I could tweet about anything. Oh, the day is such a beautiful day, and someone will ask, "Utaza lini?" And then it starts just a whole conversation, you know. And there's nothing that I have not been told about that issue, from you must have aborted many children to, you know, go and get yourself checked, to who, you know, ulirogwa na nani, just a lot of nasty stuff. And then, you know, when they're done with you on Twitter, they follow you to your Instagram account, and then they follow you to your Facebook account, and sometimes it can just it has felt like the world is caving in on me. And you know, with cyberbullying, we were actually chatting about this earlier. The first time that it ever happened, because when you're on TV, you're suddenly almost people, it's like you belong to the people suddenly. So people have an opinion on your life. You're the property of the society. So people feel that they can say anything to you, direct anything at you, and that you will have no feelings. But the first time it happened for me, it felt like I felt so, it's like a part of me almost died, and I didn't want to, I felt very depressed. I didn't want to leave my house. I didn't want to do anything that involved the public space, because you feel, you don't want to engage. You feel as though everywhere you go, people are talking about you. You suspect everybody for whatever conversation that they want to start, you know that it's probably ending up there. And I was living in a lot of fear. But then when it happens the first time, then it happens the second time, you're like, I got over it that time, you know, and then it happens a third time, and you start to realize, wait, the issue is not me. The issue is the bullies who are sitting behind their computers and their phones and their whatevers, who I'll never meet. Or when I meet, surprisingly, they never have the courage to say.
Have you met one or two?
I've met a bunch of them, actually. But they never have the courage to say the things that they said on via their Twitter accounts,
face to face when they meet
when they meet you.
So when did you get the courage to start speaking out about this? I mean, and I want to applaud you for coming on our show and speaking about this. When did you find that courage, and how did you find that courage?
I think over the last, I want to say the last maybe 2 years or so, I've become a lot more vocal about cyberbullying. One, because I realized that I have only me to defend me. To defend my space, to defend my peace, and also to just let people know that wrong is wrong, you know. And I used to think that silence was the best way to deal with it, and I still use silence as a weapon sometimes, because you can't lower yourself to the level of a bully. You can't be on social media constantly engaging a troll, someone who just has bundles and time, and you know, you can't waste your energy like that. But if I don't speak as Kambua, there's a girl who's coming up, you know, doing her music, who's going to be on TV, who's going to be following this path, and will be trolled over the same things, and the cycle will continue, because
and they won't have an example.
They won't have an example because I chose to say nothing about it. So I call people out on it when I can. Once in a while, I'll engage somebody. I will say one or two things, and surprisingly, what has happened, I feel like in the last 1 year, especially this conversation, especially about children, what I have found is when I started speaking out, other people also got the courage to start speaking. So sometimes, like I remember the last time it happened, I didn't even say anything. I had like people, there were like people coming up.
Wow, a little army.
A little army, and I thought maybe people just need to get courage when you, as a person who sometimes is being a victim of certain things, say that, no, this is not okay, then other people say, okay, maybe we need to speak about it as well. Because I used to wonder why I can get bullied, and Wahiga, you're my friend, and then you tell me, man, I saw that, it was so bad, I felt so bad.
Yeah.
Like,
but they don't say it online. They just tell you one-on-one.
Yeah.
Pierre, how have you dealt with it? Because what Kambo is saying is very interesting. Sometimes you become the poster child for other people, and it's both ways. The people who are going through the same issues as you can relate. And now when people start bullying you, they come to your aid. And now they're your defense system. But you have dealt with it both in person, being a DJ, and online as well.
I know, it's just the same way she's saying. Of course, at first you're traumatized. You're just like, oh my God, my parents are going to hear about this. What will my friends think? Oh, I don't know what. Oh, I don't know. And then the second time you're like, what? I had 20 followers, now I have 600. Then the second time you're like, why are they not bullying me again? I need to get more followers because I need to be an influencer of some brands. So you kind of, you kind of get used to it and you love it. You see, like for a couple of weeks now, I haven't been trending, and I'm just like concerned. Is my brand dying? What's going on? You know, because you're used to it. You know, like the first time it happened for me, I was just like, what? You remember, I know you all remember the video. I mean, I just went ham and I was like, don't talk about my weight, I just gave birth. You know, like I went all out, and when I sat back, I was like, was I really necessary? Like, did I really need to do all that? Yet, it was just maybe one comment and a million other comments were very positive. You saw, I choose to address the wrong thing, the negative one. Why? So I thought even at that point, I was like, something is wrong with you, Pierre. Why are you addressing? There are 100 people who are giving you very positive comments. Why are you looking at that one comment that is made by maybe someone who's very jealous that you're living your life or something? Why are you addressing that one? And so I came to realize that always applaud the people who are appreciating you. Yeah. Even most of the time when you look at our Instagram and we're trying to respond to posts, most of the time you'll respond to the one that's mean.
Yeah, it's what gets your attention.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the one you remember.
Exactly, you're just like, why did you just say that? You know, there's a time I really took time, you know, like when I was just chilling at home and breastfeeding, I had so much time. So I used to be like this, and I'm just like responding. Like,
slowly analyzing each comment.
And I was such a bitter, not bitter really, but I was just, maybe just because I had just given birth, I was just like all the time like this. So I used to respond, and I'm just like, F you, you know, like I used to Kanana a lot, and it became such. I work for TV. I'm very scared of Ezekiel. So it came to a point where I realized these people are making me a bitter person, and I'm not that kind of a person. You know, that's not who I am, and I need to actually cultivate my virtues. I need to be that good person. Did you ever realize that there's no particular point where you can satisfy the people online? Because you were being bullied for the direct opposite of what she was being bullied for. Yeah. So I just realized, you know what, you'll never make them happy. I mean, I've been branded. I've been branded, oh, who's Pierre's baby daddy? I've given number 16. No, I think yesterday I got a number 17. So I have like 17 baby daddies. You know, like all that. Wow. And then I'm just like, why does it even matter? Yeah, why does it matter to you? Like, So I realized, you know what? It's just like you said, they have a problem. I don't have a problem. So let me live my life. It's okay if that earns you $1. Go ahead. You know, put food on the table. Put food on the table. Right?
Shiks, I'll be coming to you shortly. But Mark, when I called you in for this discussion, you actually ran me through numerous types of cyberbullying. Just walk us through a bit of that. And if you've had an experience, also feel free to share.
Sure. I mean, I personally haven't had an experience. I don't think I've been able, I haven't had to endure that. So for that reason, I don't think I can speak to that personally, but I've been, consulted or counseled when someone's going through a situation, or a brand in some cases is going through a situation and they're wondering what course of action to take. I think that it's pretty big. First of all, the people who are most likely to endure cyberbullying today are actually more of teenagers and college or university age students. Teenagers, it's likely upwardly mobile, likely with a cell phone of some kind, and in a school where either internet access is present or they have that, because they're forming a form of their own digital identity right now. And then university, because that's like a melting pot for one's own identity, because, entering into adulthood. And within that, like you said, there's cyber harassment. So people creating basically fictitious online personalities to attack or to present very, very harsh comments to you.
Half the people you're responding to might not even be real.
Right. It could be smoke and mirrors, and that I have 10 accounts, and all of those are just kind of squarely, directing like all this like ire at Kambua, for example, and it could be some are ladies, some are gentlemen, some are young, some are old. So sometimes that happens. I think on the other side, you have people who generally have found the way to get any kind of attention online is through notoriety. So they'll actually practice cyber harassment as a form of them building their own identity. So they'll agree that, you know, the only way I'm going to actually make it out of this sea of sameness is because I'm going to be absolute, you know, I'm going to be offensive, I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to attack people, vulgar and so on, right? And then you have some interesting other realms of it where you have something called doxing, for example, which is more common with adults. That's where a romantic or intimate partner or just a person in general can get access to private or sensitive information of yours and leak that or put that in the public sphere. So we've even seen this of elected and public officials, right? So this cuts across everywhere, right? When you talk about like intimate photos being leaked, that's actually there's a form of blackmail there, especially in like, you know, romantic partnerships that didn't work out and somebody had some information or some typically photographs or videos. So you have that too. And generally, even within that, it's not just purely that someone may attack you, but just people's own mental health right now with technology is what's in key question and quite sensitive. So even for influencers and for people who actually work with brands, I mean, everybody preaches and says, oh, content is king, so you need to find consistency. That consistency can actually come at a cost to your mental health and your personal sense of well-being and satisfaction. And that's what leaves you vulnerable to ignore the 100 positive comments, to find the 1 or 2, and even the block button for all that it's good for. It's just that ability of feeling vulnerable and somebody knowing that they have something that can get to you. I mean, so unfortunately, some people have had to endure days on end where people do nothing but repeat the same point of view. The most unfortunate part is when like actual legitimate news outlets, typically of the gossip and entertainment and celebrity, fanfare and culture variety, then legitimize the tweets and the one-off comments because they're giving it a stage and an audience. And I think, Piera, you've experienced this. So now what's happening is people are reading about it in the public sphere, which makes it even safe for a journalist in an actual nationally distributed newspaper to pick off of a blog. Right? Because sometimes it's the same newsroom. So the challenge there is it has a sense and measure of power, especially when repeated and repeated. Sometimes the lie can actually, as they say, travel further than the truth, and it shifts the burden of proof to the person to now take that one odd comment they were never going to respond to
and have to respond to it and try and set the record straight.
And unfortunately, I think the last thing is maybe just on the side of this mental health conversation. What we're finding is these phones are not created equal. They're created, you know, to addict us to them. So those notifications, the desire to constantly refresh and stay plugged in is not by mistake, it's by design. And what we're trying to find...
to first look at your phone when you wake up in the morning before you even get out of bed.
That's right.
Just want to quickly scroll through.
That's right.
It's a setup.
And for young people especially, they're forming their identity through these camera phones. And you'd be surprised as how complex it is, because as much as we speak about being bullied, there are legitimate people who are the bullies, and they, even for them, sometimes are projecting their own insecurities or have been bullied themselves and undergone their own sort of traumatic experiences. And maybe the last kind is maybe not as relevant for this discussion, but it's quite tormenting, is also this idea of catfishing. And it's normally said in a very polite way, but there's some people who pretend to be a romantic or basically like somebody with a love interest in a person, create a fictitious identity, basically start an entire relationship with them, create this world and get them, basically personally and emotionally invested, only for them to find out later that person did not exist. So these dates and what was all virtual, and just the emotional roller coaster of that, that's technology for you. So, but when it comes to this challenge,
I'm listening to Mark and I'm thinking, what? I did not know all these things. And also the other question is, how do you respond to this? But before we get into that, or should you even respond to begin with? But let's hear from Shakes. Shakes, how have you dealt with it yourself? Because we're pure umepitia hiki tu mara mingi.
In town.
Oh, lenga munajibu wase.
Well, ya kwanza, which has been actually I think one and a couple more. Mukuja kuambiwa baadaye, Shakes umejipata nini? Umesoma? Niko wapi? Umeangalia sijui blog? Oh, wanasema hivi na hivi. Sawa basi, wacha watu ongea watanyamaza. As in, at the end of the day, wasi watu ongea tu. Sometimes mujuliza, okay fine, so umeongea story yangu you know, like so umepata udaku
you need skin umedevelop over time.
Nimedevelop
because before mara first ulikuwa na deal nayo aje.
Kuna
time ulikuwa unajisikia explain mse umwambie si mimi nilifanya kitu kaa hiyo, sifanyangi vitu kaa hizo ama ni aje.
Of course, and then the sad bit is mabeso wako ndo anakuforward hizi links.
Yeah.
First of all, yes, they're not helping.
Our could defend online.
Someone will call you and say,
Exactly.
you're like, what are you calling me for?
Wanakufuadia, you are like, really? Really? Mwingine anakuuliza, ni ukweli? Ni kujibu.
I don't think true friends.
No. Ama taituma kwa group. So you left to wonder, so are you really my friend?
Yeah.
And hapo ndio nilianza kuangalia mabeste wako, uko na mabeste, uko na wasi wenye mnafanya nao works, and then kuna familia.
That's true.
You get?
Yeah.
So kivyangu, it really affected me, and I really don't talk about it, and especially that scenario. This one, Pierre knows. So I let it pass because saa zingine guys will judge you for who you're not. Yeah. Watu wataketi chini wa kuangalie because nilisikia Pierre akisema Kambua hakuangi mpoa. Mimi nita take up niseme enye hakuangi mpoa. Hata simjui hata sijipata na Kambua. You know. So guys just talk out of the blue. Some just come to your social media page and just write something. Umepost kitu, mtu atakuja tu hapo kwa mtu ukaipoa. Nilikuwa nakupostia. But then again you can't ask. So it's really bad. It hurts. It really hurts. As much as maybe tuneka hii sura ya sijali, deep down we're getting hurt. We're also human. We're also human, man. As in, pia wukiketi tu hapo, we call them twelebs with Rapture. Rapture is my co-host. Yes, we call them twelebs. The Twitter guys who come and bash you out on social media, we call them twelebs. Because pia wanataka kuwa
Celebs.
Celebs. So we call them twelebs. So our senye wakiamua watakutukana, wenda all out. Na saa hizo mtu hakujui. So tuseme pia si watukani, lakini pia hapa hivi saa zingine ni muhimu.
Let me ask you this. In your view, who do you think is more likely to be bullied online, men or women? And why? And why, whatever answer you give us, why that answer?
I have an easy answer.
Sorry to say, it's both, but women, because we are our worst enemies.
In what ways would you say worst enemies?
Hata usiende mbali. Very simple things. Kuva. That's one. Looks. Career-wise.
But how is that your fault? How you look?
Exactly. Sasa mimi nimefanya nini kama Mungu ameamua nikae hivi? Sasa mimi nimekusaidia aje hapo? But you know, I just thank God. But then again, if you talk, imekusaidia aje? We ngangana. Wacha mimi nipambane na hali yangu, upambane na hali yako. Kama saa God atatufanya tufikanisha si wote wawili pale hivyo mbele, si sawa tu. But man, hizo stories za cyberbullying, if you know you just sit behind your computer and you take your phone and just decide to bash someone, jiulize, ukimtukana ungetaka kutukanwa hivyo. Ukiongea hivyo venye unaongea ungetaka kuambiwa the same thing. Hata kuambiwa hiyo kiatu umevaa si poa, ungetaka kuambiwa hivyo. No, sisemi yako.
Fiona was alarmed there for a second. You were wondering what?
Oh my God. You know, you should have seen my reaction. I was just about to say, this Santorini lady. Wow. This Santorini.
There we go now. There we go.
To put it there, man.
No. But you know what? I can support her a bit when she said about up here. It's very rare that you will find someone who has a good career, a boss, your employer, or someone who, you know, someone who's maybe better than you, bullying you. It doesn't happen like that. It's always someone who's, sorry to say, but beneath you. It's someone who's not happy for you, someone who's competing with you. But let me tell you, just to throw a word there, I've never seen somebody like Bob Colimo cyberbully anyone. Or even my former boss. You'll never find such clean people, or even, you know, yourself. Because you know you're comfortable with your career, you're pushing your own way. If anything, you'll support people. But anybody who's not doing well, no offense, that's what they do best. And I'm just not wrong. I'm just true.
Can I add?
Just add, and then Mark, you need to come in as well.
The bloggers, fine, mko job, mnafanya kazi yenyu, but they also don't help. Because they'll hear a story about you, and then what they'll do is they'll rush and create this story. Watajipatia hiyo story, wewe mwenyewe utaambiwa unafanya hivi mpaka unajiuliza nilifanya.
Unaanza kujiuliza.
You know, as in, you start unaanza kujiuliza mimi mpaka ujui, you don't even know your own life, but this blogger knows everything about you. So tuanzie hapo. This guy, fine, it's your career, that's what you're doing, ni sawa. Lakini pia we ukiandika hiyo story, man, unaandika alafu. You know, unaribu maisha ya watu hapo hivyo. These people, Kambua here, Kambua, Piera, hao ni watu wako na familia zao. You know, as in, atasema, mtu wake atasema, mtu wake atasema nini? Mtu wangu atasema.
It's true, and I think I think they forget that we have.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that they forget that we have people who are. I remember, a while back, I was being cyberbullied, and my mom had recently gotten on Facebook, and it was so hurtful for my mom. She had to leave completely, just exit the app for a really long time. Because she's like, people forget that it's not just me that you're attacking. When you attack me, you're attacking my mom, you're attacking my husband, you're attacking my child, you're attacking my, you're attacking a whole community of people. And as much as Kambua maybe has grown thick skin, my brother probably hasn't, So being aware that you're not just trying to bring down one person, there's a whole community that you're trying to bring down. And then on the people who, because I also used to have those friends who would quickly forward me for, have you seen, did you buy the paper this Friday? And I realized those were not my people, they're not my close people. And I had to decide, who do I want close to me? And the people close to me, they will never call me to say, oh my gosh, you're on the blogs, they've said da 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 da. In fact, they'll fight those things. Who call? I'll come to know about it later.
Not even letting you know.
And I'll be like, hiya, did you know that they had said this? It's like, don't worry. They'll downplay that nonsense, because even you have to get to a place where you just downplay the noise without giving it too much power.
Okay, surely we'll be taking a look at some of your feedback for those of you who've been weighing in. But Mark, men, women, who's more likely to get bullied?
At least if we start not just from men and women, but generally who has access to the internet, it is predominantly men.
Okay. So even if first of all, it's about access to the internet.
Correct. So because that's the first place you start from. So if you're starting from that, it's even on a place like Facebook, it's always been in that 60-40, and a lot. It's normally like a guessing game we do, and so it's 40% women, 60% men. And even when you look at mobile phone ownership across Africa, I think the only society that has parity is South Africa, where actually more women own a phone than men. Here, there's some reason to believe we'll get there because of things like M-Pesa, but that idea of who has the phone, who has that as a core device, why do you have one? And then there are other questions around patriarchy and some of the more conservative views, I think, around society finding their way into the ways that people get criticized, especially women. So to me, I think it's actually women who probably endure more. And in that sense, they actually have to, in many cases, sometimes self-censor or decide what debates to even engage in. So looking at some research, even for political debates, some of the reasons women don't feel they can weigh in is because of the price they'll pay for having a voice and being there present. So I think to find a lot of women and professionals right now who are finding a way onto stages and platforms like this or online and otherwise is a very important kind of way of course it's hard to achieve parity, but a balance in some way. And I think even from that now there's the question of, and I hate to keep bringing it back to young people or teens, but you'd be so surprised, or the misfortune or unfortunate circumstances around people being diagnosed. I say diagnosed because a medical professional has to do it with depression and having to go through that or endure that. And the thing with teenage bullying in this cyber age is that it's about being put down or being excluded. So you have people who look like they're actually on a very good, it's an A student, they've got it all together. But it's some of the ways that they will, segment or put someone down or put someone aside or exclude them. So if you're a parent and you're lucky enough to even have your teen or the young person in your life tell you, that's first of all a privilege. And the thing there is not to overreact. So that you have to, it's more about even being listened to and being heard than it is necessarily about acting. Because the second you act in a way that we're going to a school administration, we're going to talk to their parents, that can have a blowback effect as well. And so it starts really from that age, because people who find their online identity and the ways they want to be known there, carry those on really for many years to come. And I think that the challenge of today is, like you said, believe it or not, there's actually some very reasonable, rational people who that's the behavior they have purely because their desire is for fame by way of notoriety. And so it's like, oh, I'm that person in the comment section of, I don't know, like, Biko Zulu's blog, who always has, expletive things to say, or here on your Instagram, I'm gonna be there at the top. And so if they're not blocked, part of it is that they want to build up. That's how they want to build it up. And unfortunately, I think even for women journalists or women in politics, they endure quite a lot.
TV shows.
Exactly, right? And even overseas, sadly, what we're even seeing is it's going to some crazy levels where people will basically take your face. That's what I was saying, women in particular. It happens to men too, but women quite a lot in the sense that they'll take your face and put that on someone else's body and just start to seed out or leak images like that. There's something known as a deep fake. So deep fakes are a form of artificial intelligence video where you can take my face or anyone's face here and put it on somebody, and sometimes even like a sexually explicit video. And so there's all sorts of things happening now where, as I said, being somewhat weaponized or targeted against women. And I think Sheik's had a good point. Sometimes there's women against women, so we have to also say that too. But in terms of just self-selecting out, because just being in the arena can have a negative effect for your gender. I mean, women in that case have.
Let's take a quick break here, and then when we come back, we'll discuss how do you deal with it. Should you call them out? Because I'm about to call someone out here.
Oh, right now?
Yes. We've got a tweet here which I think I'll call them out when we agree that we should call them out.
Okay, if that's what we agree on, then you're going to do that.
Once we agree, then we'll decide if we're calling them out or not, because and they know themselves. I will actually call them out on air, but let's hold on for that thought for a bit. Let's see some of your feedback. 22422 is the number. 0719777777. You can call in at Citizen TV Kenya. Trevor Mbijat, Wega Moura. Let's bring up some of them right now. All right. Bing Charlie says cyberbullying thrives when you respond. Cyberbullies cannot withstand zero response. Play the contempt card and it will die off.
Bing Charlie was actually tweeting last night as well. Thank you for staying tuned. Engineer Lazaro, cyberbullying is a tool faceless haters commonly use to distract your attention and to make you lose focus. The best medicine is just to ignore them like nothing happened. Trevor?
All right, so we're going to ignore this one, I guess. We have one more. The real Sengeli says something interesting about cyberbullies is that they have confidence to surreptitiously attack you online. Mayo. However, when you meet them physically, they're chicken-hearted. That's exactly what Kambua was saying earlier on there. Do you still have more SMSs coming through to newsroom? Yes.
That's right. And Nixon Tugere says, always be sober and morally upright when online. Be mindful and considerate. And by this, we can all make our online experiences better. The voice of reason on the program today.
The very reasonable people. We still have another one? All right, Michael Onimbo says it's wrong to cyberbully people, but sometimes these celebrities post their dirty laundry on cyberspace instead of keeping it private and expect Kenyans not to react.
That's one of the questions that we'll actually tackle when we come back. And the last SMS, Nosh BGM, negativity keeps me going. Respond to them, keeps them going, I guess, so respond to them in a positive manner.
Yes.
All
right. And on that note, we take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about those issues that some of them have already been raised there. Celebrities who may sometimes rub off the Kenyan public the wrong way and then get a backlash and a beating for it. And then we'll also find out whether you should respond or not. See you in just a bit.